and take two. So sorry about the last time the internet connection dropped off, so I'm starting again. But this past Sunday, Adam Otten preached about Through the Fire. And hopefully you're able to be there Sunday, but if you weren't, you can go to our website, gcforme.org. You can download the notes and take a look at them. Couple things that really stood out to me. In fact, Rachel on Sunday night during her 7 to 7 talked about it. She talked about just going through the fire, and something that she talked about the refining fire and things like that, but something that really jumped out to me was that we all go through fires in our life, and God never puts you into a fire. I wouldn't do that to my kid. Most adults, parents, whatever, would never think about doing something like that to their kids. So God doesn't put you in the fire, but He will deliver you out of the fire. And there's a couple of things that I really, really liked was, now my dog's barking. This has just been a awesome time to get this going. But so what we have is into the fire is God's trying to deliver you from the fire, out of the fire. He wants to deliver you out of it, just like He did with Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. In fact, if you read in Daniel 3, verse 16 through 28, it talks about how, and it goes through that story of how Nebuchadnezzar, first in verse 15, was like, you know, who's the God that will deliver you out of my hand? Basically, he's exalting himself up higher than their God. And, you know, if you esteem his opinion or the king's opinion or your friend's opinion or your family's opinion higher than God's opinion, then you're going to be in a situation where you don't have the belief or the faith built in to what God says, and you'll fall victim to looking at the fire and jumping into the fire without faith. So they told him that, hey, look, we're going to believe God. And even if God doesn't deliver us, we're still going to believe God. So I think sometimes we get in a situation where we pray for healing or our finances or a situation with a family member or our kids or something, and we don't see things immediately turn around. We then start doubting rather than saying, you know, sorry, Satan, but even if this situation doesn't turn around, I'm going to believe God. We have to stick with what we believe. Our belief never changes. Our belief in God never changes. So no matter what the situation or the circumstance or anything going on, we do not change what we believe. We do not change what we say, and we hold on to it. So they said, you know, sorry, we're not gonna give up. We're not gonna bow to your idol, basically. And so they threw him in the fire. And I love what Nebuchadnezzar, he says later. He says, let me find it real quick. Yeah, they turned the oven up, and Nebuchadnezzar turned to his people and said, he turned his counselors, and he was confused because he said, did we not throw 3 men into the midst of the fire? And they said, yes, that's basically, yeah, that's what we did. We threw 3 people in there. And he goes, well, there's 4 in there now. And one, he says, has the form, the 4th is like the Son of God. You know, I think it's amazing that this carnal, this pagan king recognized the God, the Son of God, was that he had a form and he could recognize him. I think everyone in our heart, every person that says they're atheist or an agnostic or whatever, they recognize that there is a God in their heart. God even says that in Romans 1. So he recognized that there was a Son of God in there with him. And then as you read down, they got delivered out of it. And this is a part that I think is amazing on how, if you stay focused on God, Isaiah 26:3 says, I will keep him or her in perfect peace, whose mind, whose imagination, whose thoughts are stayed on God. I believe that that's what the these 3 Hebrew children were doing, these young adults, these teenagers basically. I believe this is what they were doing. They were keeping their mind, their imagination, their focus, their thoughts on God. And that's why they were able to go into the fire. And when they came out, because God came in there with them, the fire had no effect on them. I'm saying some people are going through some fire right now. I'm telling you, if you keep your eyes stayed on God, that fire will have no effect on you. And that's what you need to hold on to is, God, you said that you will deliver. You are a God who delivers from the fire. You are a God who keeps us in perfect peace, whose mind is stayed on you. I am going to keep my mind stayed on you, God. So they came out, and not only did the fire have no effect on them, it burned the things that held them bound. You could preach all night on that too. But it took the binds off of them. It burned those away, but they had no harmful effects of the fire. They didn't even smell like smoke. So I just want to say there's some things you might be going through. You need to look at this story and say, God, I thank you that the fire didn't come from you, but I thank you that you're with me in that fire and you're going to deliver me. So that's what I got. It's been 7 minutes. Love you all. God bless. Sorry about the dog barking, and have a great night. Thanks.